Aloha, this is Brian Watkins, and this is a video I'm going to use in my 386 class to be an introduction to VBA, which is Visual Basic for Applications. So we have finished an exercise in Excel where we used a sales number and a target number and a series of rules to come up with a formula that calculates commissions. Okay, so here are all the rules, and what I'm going to do right now is just move these over a little bit, and we're going to put a commission here, and that commission is going to be calculated according to these rules that we have. But rather than do it through Excel, which you all can do, we're going to do it in VBA. So the first thing you need to know about VBA is that you access it through the Developer ribbon. So if you don't have a Developer tab, you need to go File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and check the Developer box. So assuming you've done that, then you can go Developer and open the Visual Basic. Let's see if I can get it here. Here we go. Here's the Visual Basic code. Now, there's some stuff going on in my own workbook, so we'll turn it to book 1. Okay? It's empty. There's nothing there. This other one is my personal macro workbook. So the first thing you have to do for any VBA code is create a place for the code to exist. So we're going to insert a module. The module is what holds the code. So when I click on that, I'm now in the module. So anything I type in this area becomes code that runs from the spreadsheet that's open. The module is like a backpack. It piggybacks on the spreadsheet. Now, we talked about two different ways to use VBA, and the one that I want you to be the most familiar with is the subroutine. Okay, there's subroutines and functions. The subroutine is created by typing sub for a subroutine and then a name. We'll call ours commission. And since we're doing a subroutine, we're not going to collect any information from the face of the spreadsheet. So I have two parentheses with nothing in them. When I hit enter, the editor turns the word sub blue and adds the words in sub to remind me that everything in between is going to be active code. All right, now, in order to work through things, I have to have variables. All a variable is a section of the computer's memory that can hold a number. It's just like algebra. X plus y equals z. Okay, and those x, y, and z's hold numbers. The complication is that when you're dealing with computer programs, you can also have text characters, which are codes that the computer converts from a number to a letter that we recognize. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that each one of the pieces of information we're going to use has to have a name. So we're going to use the dim function to create a name and a variable. So let's look at our project. We're going to have a list of employees. The employees have a name. So I'm going to call it name, and I'm going to tell the computer that it is a string variable, which means a collection of text. Okay, next one, sales. So I'm going to dim sales, and the data type I told you to use, there's several, but stick with the double. That'll keep you safe for now. If you ever have a question about VBA data types, just Google VBA data types. Here, I'll do it over here to the side, and you'll find that there's a bunch of stuff that you can learn about data types. Okay, so let's see. String you're using, and we're going to use double. And double is defined right here as an 8-byte storage that allows for these large numbers. No, I don't want to participate. Okay, so we are good. That E plus 308 means you can stick 179 and all these numbers with 308 zeros after them. That's a large enough number for anybody. All right, so enough of that. We have a target number, so we're going to dim target as a double. Okay. After target, we have a sales range that we're going to need to produce. And this is a different kind of variable because it's a range, meaning more than one number. This is going to be a range of numbers. All right, we're going to create an answer. And let's make sure we spell our things correctly. And after an answer, we're going to have a commission rate that we're going to use inside our program, and basically we'll operate on that variable. We'll change it by adding numbers to it and dividing it, that kind of thing. Okay, now those are our numbers, but we're also going to create some text. So we'll create something called a title, and it's going to hold a piece of text, and we're going to create an output that's going to have some text in it so that we can communicate with our user. All right, now as I program this, I can always go back if I realize that I should have created some other kind of variable and name it, but for now, having done this a couple times, I think that we have all our variables. So all we're doing here is we're telling the computer, set aside some memory for these 8 different items and then manipulate them in a certain way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put something into the title variable. And we're going to set that equal to text, and we'll call it sales commission calculator. And we're going to use that variable to title the boxes that pop up when we use this VBA. This way I don't have to type sales commission calculator in every box. Okay, now the name, the sales, and the target all have to come from outside the spreadsheet. Our user has to enter those. And then the sales range has to be described by the user. So what we're going to do is take these variables, let's start with name, and say they equal what comes from an input box. Input box is a function that VBA uses that throws a box up on the screen, and it will either have buttons in it or it can have all kinds of stuff, and basically it's going to collect information. So I'm going to put into double quotes text that's going to enter in the box. It's going to be printed out in the box. So I say, please enter the name of the salesperson. Okay, if I don't do that, I don't really know what information I'm trying to collect. Okay, so now that's prompt. You see prompt is in bold here. Now I'm going to do a comma. The next thing I enter is the title. Well, I'm not going to type sales commission calculator, although I could, because I've already saved it in a variable. So that just typing title will bring in what I said title was equal to, which is sales commission calculator. Close input box with a parenthesis, hit enter. Now you saw that it capitalized those 2 letters. That is a sign to me that the editor was satisfied that I used the appropriate format for that code input box. So now I'm going to do sales equal input box, and my prompt is going to be please enter the amount of sales for the month. And I'm also going to put a title on that. And then finally, target input box, please enter the amount of, let's just say please enter the salesperson's monthly target. Okay, and that's done. All right, now for the range. The range is a bunch of entries. It could be anywhere from 2 to thousands. but we're going to say set sales range equal to, and we're going to use a different kind of input box that can accept a little more complicated command. So we're going to say the prompt is equal to, please enter the range of sales for the entire department. Now, in VBA, if I want to stretch this out, I can. And I'm going to say, comma, the title of this is going to be title, and the type is going to be an 8. And you say, where in the world did you figure that one out? Well, when I was trying to figure out ranges, I went to my internet and I said, set range in VBA, and this is what came up. The range object. How to select ranges by using Visual Basic. And this will tell you probably more than you actually need to know. I think I like this one a little bit better, how to select, because it gives you multiple kinds of selections. Okay, so how to select the cell. And remember, we're not taking our information entirely off the sheet, but here, how to select a range of cells, okay, on a worksheet. So anything you need to do, you can always just Google it and find it out. And I had to figure out how to do it for sales range. So once we have our variables set, now we're going to manipulate them. Now, good coding practice is to leave yourself some little notes about what you're doing. You do this by using a single quote, and then you say whatever you want to say. So I'm going to say, this if statement will calculate the basic commission rate. And it'll turn it green there, saying that the computer is totally ignoring this. It's just for our own use. All right, now how do we calculate the commission rate? Well, here's our rule. And so we're going to translate this commission rules table into VBA code by using a big if statement. All right, the if statement is the first and most powerful command any computing language has. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by testing the upper range of our sales figure. Okay, so if our sales, and remember that sales was the amount of sales for the month, is greater than or equal to 10,000, then, okay, now, at this point, I drop a line, and I'm going to indent. I don't have to indent, but good programming practice says we're going to indent to show that this is what happens if that if statement is true. So com rate is equal to 0.09. Okay, you can read it and understand what it's doing. If the sales are greater than 10,000, then I'm going to set my com rate to be 9%. Okay. Now, if that was the only question I was asking, I would do end if and end the whole question. However, it's not. I also want to say else if sales is greater than or equal to 7,500, then com rate equals 0.07. Else if sales greater than or equal to 5,000, then com rate equals 5. Else if sales greater than or equal to 1,000, then com rate equals 0.03. Now, I don't care. I don't have any more questions to ask. So if it fails all 4 of those tests, I just else do this. Com rate equals 0. End if. Okay, so you just think through your if statement and think of this as a lookup. So I'm feeding a number into it, and it's either going to come out here, 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 or here. Okay, so now at this point, we have a second if statement. And the second if statement is going to, this if statement adjusts the COM rate for special exceptions. Okay, so I know what my exceptions are. If the name is equal to the first name that has an exception, then I'm going to take my existing COM rate, and it's going to equal COM rate plus 0.05. And I don't want to hard code that because this person might have a bad sales month, they might have a good sales month. And the rule says whatever the COM rate ends up, you add 5% to it. Else, if name equals plus 0.075. Okay, and I just do one of these lines for each name. Divided by 2. Okay, now there's nothing else to do to COM rate. If it's not one of these 4 items, I just close the if statement. So what we've done so far is we've done the commission rules and the exceptions. Okay, this is the commission rules, this is the exceptions. So now we have to do the target multiplier. So what we're gonna say, this if statement adds the multiplier bonus. All right, so if sales minus target is greater than or equal to 1,000, I think it was over 1,000, so why don't we just say over 1,000? Then double the COM rate. Now I hope your math is good enough to know that the multiplier bonus of a double can be applied before we actually calculate the dollars for COM rate, simply by multiplying by the rate. I could just as well as calculated my actual COM rate times sales and then done something with it, but I figured that this was just as easy to do. Okay, so now I'm just going to go down my various options. So if it's greater than 1,000, if it's greater than 500, and then the last one, if it's greater than or equal to negative 250, times 1.25. But remember, if it's not any of these, we'll just do nothing. Okay, so I don't even need an else because I'll just leave COM rate completely alone. Okay, so that's the multiplier bonus. If it were a number that was less than 250, it would fall through all 3 of these and nothing would happen to COM rate. All right, so now I need to add the rank bonus. Okay, the rank bonus uses that rank function. And I don't want to code the rank function again. I could, I guess, but I'm not going to do it because it's already coded. So I'm just going to say if, and now I go get the rank function by saying worksheet function. That opens a library up and the dot brings it in. So any of these are now available to me, and you can see right there, rank. So I want rank. Rank has 2 arguments. It needs 2 pieces of information. The first one is the number. Well, we know that's sales. The second one is the range, and we know that's sales range. okay, because we pulled those numbers in the beginning. So if that number is less than 4, then we're looking at 1, 2, or 3, and the answer that we're going to spit out is the comm rate times the sales plus $2,500. Otherwise, answer equals comm rate times sales, and we don't add anything. So that's a simple if statement that has 2 possibilities. Okay, now output the result. MsgBox just has quotes, so our prompt is commissions earned by space. Okay, and we're going to glue this together. We're going to make one big sentence that has variables and text strings glued together. And I do that by doing space and space. The next thing I want is the name variable. So it's going to print the name, space and space. Now it's going to print space R space. Okay, I have to do another and, tie it together. This time I'm going to put in answer. But I don't want my answer to spit out just a big long number. I want it to be formatted. And there's a command called format currency that will take that answer, you're seeing all of its situation, and format it automatically in the output. Now I want a period on my sentence, so I have to go space, and then quote, period, quote. Okay, then I'm going to hit a comma. I'm not using any buttons in this, anything that says okay, maybe, anything like that. So I do my second one. Now I'm on the title, and I just say title, just like I did before. All right, that's it. So let's see if our code works. Now, if you have problems, 90% of the time you misspelled one of your variables. Okay, the computer insists that it be exactly alike. So if it's not working, you look back for that. So I'm going to now just go back to the Excel by hitting the View Excel. I'm going to go to Macros. Okay, all of my personal macros are here, but I'm looking for this workbook, and that's commission. It's the only macro I have. So I'm going to run it, and there's the input box, and it wants the name. So I'll give it the first one. There's my name. Hit OK. Amount of sales. OK. Monthly target. Okay, now what's the range of sales for the entire department? I'm going to go highlight that, and it tells me what the commissions are, and spit it out. It's not putting this inside my spreadsheet anywhere. Okay, so it's not saving this data. As soon as I hit OK, I lose it. It goes away. And that's one of the things that you have to decide what you want to do with VBA. I could easily say, output this in some output area by making it a range, but we'll learn how to do that later. Okay, so if I want to go in and take a look at what I've done, I go to Visual Basic, and it will forever live there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing a second way. I'm going to show you how to put it on the face of the spreadsheet by making a function. So I'm going to type function sales commission and open parentheses. Okay, remember a function is called by going equals function name and then putting the arguments in parentheses. So here I'm not going to use the dim statement. I'm just going to say collect from your user a variable called sales. Okay, the sales variable, treat it as a double, comma. Now collect a name. That name will be a string, comma. Now collect a target. That will be a double, comma. Then collect a sales range. That will be a range. So you see we put the dim statements inside those parentheses so that the computer is going to have to go find those automatically without us having to use InputBox. Now, as soon as I hit function, they put a nice little line there. It recognizes I'm now on a completely different task. It came up in blue, which tells me I'm doing it correctly. And so now what I need to do is figure out, am I going to use any intermediate variables? Okay, and I think I will. I'll use com rate. And I'm going to call this one a double as well. Okay, so here I've got my sales commission. When I invoke the function, I'm going to send this information to it, but then I'm going to use internally this variable to calculate. Okay, so now let's just take the first if statement, because VBA is VBA, whether I'm using it in a subroutine or a function. So I'm going to copy the first if statement and stick it right there. Okay. Well, if I can copy the first one, I can copy the second. So I'll copy the second one, and we'll do that. And likewise, let's make sure that I got the end if. Good. Likewise, I'll copy the third. All right, so far so good. So now I'm going to calculate what the commission is. The sales commission equals the com rate times the sales. Okay. Now I have to, actually, sorry, I'm a step ahead. We have to apply the rank bonus. I forgot to do that. All right, so we're going to apply the rank bonus. And this time we're going to do it a little bit differently. And the reason for that is that the name of your function is itself a variable. So if the worksheet function.rank sales range is less than 4, then, okay, this is exactly the same as we did the other way. But now I'm going to say, then sales commission equals, let's see, sales commission is going to be, well, maybe I will do it the same. We'll just do the com rate here. So sales commission equals com rate times sales. Otherwise, sales commission, com rate times sales. Okay, I did it wrong. Com rate times sales plus 2,500. I was so busy looking at something else. All right. End if. All right. So if the function is 1, 2, or 3, then we know we have our higher rank, and we're going to take com rate times sales, add 2,500, and it's going to be sales commission. This name sales commission has to be the same as the name of our function, because that's the variable being calculated. So now let's put it out in our spreadsheet. And I'm going to say sales commission. It sees it right there. It says that's a function. It's one of my user entered functions. Okay, my sales commission, the first thing that I wanted my sales commission was the sales. So I'm going to click on E4. Then I want the name. Then I want the target. And then I want the sales range. Okay, now that sales range is going to need to be absolute. So when I copy it down, it doesn't go E5, E25, and so on. Okay, so if I hit yes, it calculated it for me. Great, and as you notice, it calculated it with the existing variable, so I didn't have to go and answer any questions. And those should all be correct. So on formula view, you'll just see sales commission, and it's using these 4 items. Let me do something cleaner here. I'm going to take sales, and I'm going to make it a range, and instead of using E4 there, I'm just going to type sales. That's an easier way to do it, and it automatically creates that named variable, sales. Okay, so you've seen VBA work two different ways here. One way as a function that's called by the user, and the other way that is a subroutine that is automatically invoked by the macro command. And I can set this to like a shortcut, like Alt Control Shift F1 or something like that. I could give it a shortcut there, shortcut key. Okay, but the macro, when it runs, is going to ask me questions before it spits out the answer. And the worksheet function, of course, is just going to use existing data. So now what I want you to go and do for the homework is to pull up the payment function. So let's do this. Payment function, financial. And I want you to write VBA code that collects the rate, the number of periods, and the present value, and then tells me how much my monthly payment is. And I want to do it with the InputBox function and the MsgBox function. So I think if you paid close attention, you'll see that that's actually quite easy, because the payment function, bring this back here, only requires those three variables: rate, number of periods, and PV. Good luck. Look forward to seeing your work.